How do you feel about big dicks?
We got Sarah J on the casting couch.
Yeah.
She's never done this before.
You are about to have sex with other girls, but she's not. Fuck that shit.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you personally experienced?
Shoulder fuckers.
What's up, guys? We are live. So we got our first in studio debate in, I want to say, a year since we had that one with Weave Waffles and his dad, or his double gangbanger, whatever we want to call it. It was a good debate, but here we got another one. So this is going to be really fucking epic. We got Jazmen Jafar, our favorite 304 lawyer, who's also a very smart lady. And we're going to talk about OnlyFans and other topics. And then we got Sonny, who is our, as we call him, a red pill investigative journalist, has a big following on YouTube, has 500,000 subs, right?
Yeah, almost 600,000.
Yeah, dude's got a big channel. Jazmen's got a big following on Instagram. So this is going to be two important people who have different perspectives, having a very interesting debate with each other. I'm here to just basically be the moderator. I won't really talk that much. I'll essentially let you guys get into it. But the first topic we're going to start off is OnlyFans. Specifically, is OnlyFans good or bad for men and women, right? So we can argue about both of those things. And then the discussion can flow into wherever it goes. Really, nothing is off limit. Both guests have said that there's really no topic that's off limit besides privacy stuff. So this is going to be a really good, I think, debate where there's going to be basically no rules. Besides, you guys can't really like fucking hit each other with a mic. So other than that, you're free to do your thing. So let's start off with a quick introduction. I know we love introductions. So just really quickly, just summarize who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Which camera should I look into?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Jazmen Jafar. I've been on the channel a few times. It's always been fun. I am the lawyer who quit my job in order to do OnlyFans, and I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Awesome. So
Nice. My name is SonnyFaz. I've been doing entrepreneurship for like 4 years now. I'm only 20 years old. So being in this kind of space is pretty funny to me, like debating some 304 lawyer, I guess. That's what I'm doing tonight with my life. But yeah, I've been doing YouTube for 2 years, like short form marketing stuff for another 2 behind that. You know, I've generated a few $1 million in business before ever getting into this stuff. And now I kind of just try to help spread truth and spread a pretty positive message. And I think that's why I'm here. We disagree on OnlyFans. You know, I think it's like, you know, pretty degenerate, and seems like you're making a good living off of it. So
Yeah.
I literally, the biggest surprise about that is that you're 20 years old.
I know. I'm
I
so
shocked. I thought you were like 25,
Me
28.
too.
I probably shouldn't have said that, to be honest. But
No, I mean, it's all good. It's an interesting fact. All right, so I'll let you guys get into the open discussion of it. Yeah, so you said that you think OnlyFans is degenerate. Maybe you can expand on that, and you guys can go back and forth.
yeah, so I mean, you mentioned if it's good for men and if it's good for women. So I guess I'll start with if it's good for women. So I'm making a video right now investigating the OnlyFans epidemic. And so it's multiple different chapters. I interviewed people on the street. I interviewed OnlyFans managers. I went to Jack Doherty's house, one of the biggest OnlyFans managers, current girls. And the missing piece is ex-OnlyFans girls. Now, the reason I mention this is because it's quite literally been impossible to find a girl to interview that used to do OnlyFans and doesn't do it anymore. My point being is they're just like, they're so ashamed of the fact that they did it. It's almost sad texting these girls and getting on the calls with them to try to schedule the interview because they're so embarrassed that part of the past. They wish they could just flip a button in their brain and literally block it out. So I'm kind of here to, you know, tell people that if life is hard, if you're going through money issues, whatever it is, selling your soul to OnlyFans is never the right move, because at the end of the day, we're all going to die. You know, we're going to a higher place, which I'd like to think you guys would agree on too. You don't think so? Are you guys atheists or something?
Yeah.
Atheist
Okay,
gang.
so that's another thing. I'm not like the big religious guy, but I
Yeah.
definitely do think that there's more to this, you know, more to this earth than just sitting here. And then regarding the guys, I think that there's so many different opportunities for you to get into as a dude. And the journey is realistically the most beautiful part. Like, I've been in situations where I really don't have money to do anything. Like, I couldn't ask my parents for money. My dad was in the military. My mom, I've basically been supporting her for 2 years now, since I was like 18 years old. So I haven't caved to OnlyFans, to casinos, doing any of that degenerate ass shit. So I really don't think other people should too. And I think it'll leave a better impact on the world and help your soul more in the long run.
As a quick side note, after this, we'll introduce you to Lav. She's an ex-OnlyFans
Yeah,
girl.
you would like her.
Okay, well, I need that.
Yeah, just remind me after.
I swear to God, I've sent hundreds of DMs to girls.
I'll introduce you to a few.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah. So what I would say about that is that OnlyFans is still relatively new. I know it's been around since 2017, but really the proliferation happened like with the pandemic, and it's only been a few years. So obviously the girls that quit are going to be the girls that have had negative experiences. And I'm not saying negative experiences are impossible. I'm not saying OnlyFans is for everybody, but there are billions of people in this world. We all have different values, as we've just discussed, different temperaments, and for some people it works and for some people it doesn't. So this one size fits all thing is the thing I have a problem with. I'm not telling everyone be on OnlyFans if you're a girl, and if you're a guy, go subscribe to OnlyFans. I don't think someone like you should. It doesn't align with who you are and your values and what you want for your life. But I don't think that the people that do are necessarily any worse off. Like, I can say OnlyFans for me has been a really positive thing. Now, I may be like an anomaly. I may just be suited for it. I don't really mind internet hate. Just who I am as a person, it works for me. I'm very happy with it. I'm much happier than I would be working a 9 to 5 with billable hours as a lawyer. And I think it's changed a lot of girls' lives for the better too. It just depends on who you are. As for men, are you talking about men who like subscribe, like they shouldn't subscribe, or like
men getting into OnlyFans? I just think that's kind of weird.
Doing it or subscribing?
I've met a lot of doing OnlyFans.
Oh,
I've met a lot of guys that do OnlyFans, and there's only one who I would say I guess I respect, which is like Sterling Cooper, because he seems pretty competent. I've met a lot of other guys like Troy. I'm not trying to name drop and stuff. Yeah. But I've met these dudes, and they're giving advice to young guys on how to date. And this dude dates like a 30-year-old porn star that looks like she's 65, and I'm just like,
so do a lot of red pillers.
Well, yeah, I also think a lot of these guys are pretty tapped too.
Yeah, no, and so I don't know how many guys do OnlyFans. I've actually never met one, but I'm sure there are some. I don't think they're the majority. I think they're definitely the minority, especially amongst top earners.
Well, because it's only gay guys that are buying them for fat chicks. Would you ever buy a guy's OnlyFans?
Personally, no, but I don't even watch porn Like, it just doesn't turn me on. A lot of women, like even the studies done, they prefer to like read erotica. Like, that just turns a lot of women on.
Well, yeah, because you guys are, emotionally
less visual.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that I do have some couples that definitely watch me together, and I do have some girls, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's more than like.
What got you into OnlyFans? That's kind of one of the biggest points about this, because a lot of the girls, it's not like it was a really conscious, coherent decision to get into OnlyFans. It's a lot of manipulation with a lot of these people getting into it.
Who's manipulating them?
It's usually a guy that's a manager manipulating girls to get into it, or it's a lot of the programming with society today. So, if you listen to any of the music and stuff, it's just leading towards girls becoming more promiscuous. And I'm sure you disagree with that. I'm sure you think being a 304 is totally cool. But I also think that that's one of the biggest reasons that society is going to shit.
I mean, if you're going to say that social norms manipulate people, then sure. I don't know if you have any evidence as to what percentage of women are being manipulated by a man. Now, I had a really unique, because I don't think there's many lawyers or people with doctorate.
You were like a legit lawyer.
Yeah,
like
people
came to you for like, I'm dealing meth and I need someone.
I still have my license active in 2 states. So so that's rare. I understand that. And for me, I just didn't want to work like a 9 to 5. I didn't want billable hours. I didn't want to hit snooze every morning on my, alarm. I just wanted to make a lot of money, and I wanted to live a life conducive to my own happiness and my own values. And to me, you may feel like, oh my gosh, the sexual liberation has been such a negative. I don't view it that way, right? We're in a culture war as a country right now, right? We've been in it for a while. There are a lot of people like you, but there are also a lot of people like me. Now, we typically run most of the institutions, academia, media, etc. So I'd say we're winning. And if
what do you mean we?
I guess social liberalism. Like, I would say that definitely if you're
what are some liberal values that you stand by?
Being pro LGBTQ,
these aren't even traditionally liberal values. That's the funny thing.
Okay, well, if you want to go traditional liberalism,
the way I see liberal nowadays is just like retarded.
That could be how you see it. And trust me, I am center left. I am not like far left. Like,
what would be too far left for you? Do you think kids can be trans?
Can kids be trans? I think kids can suffer from gender dysphoria, and I think they.
So you think trans people are crazy? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think they're crazy. That's a really strong word, but I do think that gender dysphoria is something that they struggle with, and you could call it a mental or disorder if you like, but that doesn't negate the fact that they may be happier living in a different gender than the one they were born in. I don't really have a problem with that. Now, I am not pro any pronoun like Q, Z, D. That's too far for me. If you're asking like a question.
All right. So what are some other liberal values that you have?
Like, I believe in sexual liberation. Like, I'm not trad. I don't think that's the way you have to live your life. Right.
So you're not monogamous in a relationship.
I lean monogamous, but the difference between me and you is I don't think everyone has to do what I want to do, because I think people are different, right? There's something called sociosexuality. There's an inventory you can take, and it'll test your attitudes, desires, and your behavior. Have you taken it? And it'll show you how suited you are to casual sex, like how much you desire it, how much your attitudes align with it, etc. I'm very low.
I'll probably score 100.
Yeah, like and men on average score higher than women, but there are some women who are less restricted in their sociosexuality. I'm personally more restricted in that, like, and that's fine. But the difference is I'm not going to
So you don't go sleeping around a bunch.
I mean, if you want to know my body count, it's 7 and I'm 29. So I don't know.
Oh, that's not that high nowadays.
Yeah. So I mean, but to me, that doesn't matter. That's just because
rookie numbers.
But to me, that doesn't mean that somebody else who has more is somehow worse off than me, or that they're like morally inferior. I don't think it's a moral issue. I don't think you are immoral by sleeping with people. Now, if you do, I'm
not necessarily saying that they're immoral, but like if a girl has 100 bodies, she's obviously less desirable to a high value man than someone.
Well, I mean, if high value means this, sure. And again, you're really young, so I'm trying, like, but like, sure. But again,
I'm not necessarily saying I'm a high value guy. Like, I'm realistic. Like, going into this, I'm not trying to like scream at you.
Yeah, neither am I.
I'm not one of those guys that just tries to do a bunch of shit for content and clicks. I recognize that as a 20-year-old, I have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm saying that a girl with 100 bodies isn't very valuable, I also recognize that as a 20-year-old, I'm not the most valuable person in the sexual marketplace.
So value to you equals what? Because that's the thing. A woman like me has no interest in a man like you, and you may have no interest in a woman.
I'm also
that's
20.
Fine.
Like,
yeah, you know, even if you were my age, even if you were 30, like your values don't align with mine, I would want nothing to do with a guy like you. And you probably want nothing to do with a girl like me. It's not like to be insulting.
Yeah, I mean, you do OnlyFans.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's okay. But the difference is, like, I think trad people can live very happy lives. I think trad people can go on to be really happy. It's you guys that are like, oh, but you guys can't be happy like this. Yes, we can. People can be happy all different kinds of ways. There's not a one size fits all.
I'm not saying that you can't be happy.
And you're saying, you guys can never be with a high value man. Well, what's a high value man? Red pillars? We don't want that. That's not high value to me. That's like retarded to me. Okay. Just like we're retarded to you. So it works out because you guys can fuck with your people and we can fuck with our people.
Maybe you can give a few examples of what you would consider high value man to kind of elaborate.
So, like, all right, when I say high value man, I envision like the man that I'm working to become. So a guy that's like able to fight, has a lot of money, can provide for his family, is strong.
Can you give some examples of like people in popular culture that someone might recognize who you consider?
I mean, obviously, like, you know, the funny thing is, like, Andrew Tate, like, I definitely like look up to that guy, but he's also like had this past where it's kind of, my mind has changed so much on this topic in the last year, like looking at Andrew Tate and then also seeing the way that he got girls into OnlyFans. It's just like, it's really twisted in my head.
Isn't the mother of his kid, wasn't that one of his old cam girls? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like, I think that.
So that high value man clearly didn't, still got a 304 pregnant
like,
and had a kid
pop
with her.
culture people like are just clowns nowadays. Like, I don't know who else is popular. Musicians, those are all clowns. Every single streamer nowadays.
They fuck with 304s and wife of 304s. So where are these? Where are these high value men that therefore aren't wifing 304s? They are there, but they're not what you're talking about. Men who have money, men who can fight, etc. There are plenty of those kind of men who still wife up 304s. I would say if you look at like TradCon, like Daily Wire-esque Ben Shapiro types, those are the men that actually stick by those values. And I think you will be too. You seem like you're really, I don't put you in the same category.
Well, that's why I said, like, when I'm talking about myself and the vision that I have, it's kind of my vision for high value. Because like you said, it's kind of a spectrum. Like high value to you, I don't know what that is. Exactly. I know what high value is to me. I know what a higher value girl is to me, or like, more desirable on the marketplace. But
so that's my point, is we all have high value is at least somewhat very subjective. So when men come and say, red pillars say no high value men will want a woman like you, I'm always like, well, you define high value, because if that's high value,
here's the like, this is what I was about to say. It's so fascinating to me because that's true. A lot of red pill guys do say that, and then you look at guys like Drake, Kanye, I don't know, a lot of these major celebrities, and they are dating 304s. Like they're dating
Or
legit
you look at like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and they're dating women in their 50s and their 40s, which again is not high value according to the red pill. The red pill thinks high value is like women under 25 with no bodies, etc. So it's actually hard to find examples of what they're talking about. I think, and it's funny because the kind of women that they want, and I'm not putting you in this category because you don't seem like you're in this category, wouldn't want them. Like the fresh and fit kind of types where they're like, I want to sleep with 2 million women.
Yeah, but then
I want a girl
magically
who's a virgin. That girl that's a virgin doesn't want anything to do with those men.
I know they want the more Ben Shapiro
Yeah,
type guys.
exactly.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and that's fine, but that's not my type. And there's plenty of more liberal, open-minded men, especially in my circle and higher academia types. They're not like, they don't have the same views as sex work. They're less likely to have the same views as sex work as, you know, those people. So I really think it's about finding a community and finding people and surrounding yourself with people who share your values. But, you know, OnlyFans girls are never like knocking on people's doors like, start an OnlyFans, or you must do OnlyFans, or you must like an OnlyFans person. It seems like the red pill are these angry men who come around and say, no one will like you, you're ruining your life, blah blah blah.
Well, you are ruining your life by doing
How am I ruining my life?
Oh, like one of the main, I mean, this is the way I look at life, or at least for women, is like one of the main values that you have is like your sexual exclusivity. I know that this is like a bigger red pill talk. I hate even saying
value?
red pill.
That's what you place value on in women.
No, this is natural. Men naturally want a girl with less bodies.
Some men.
I think like we can speak in exceptions or we can speak generally. And I think that generally speaking, if a guy wants to wife up a girl, he's going to wife up a girl with fewer bodies than the whore. You just disagree with that?
There's actually, yeah. And there's a study that shows that lifetime partners actually has no bearing on your likelihood of getting married. Recent partners do. Like if you have a high body count recently, that impedes your ability to get married in that time frame, partly because probably you're just not at a stage of your life where you want to do that. But I can pull up the study. There is a study on lifelong body count and your likelihood of getting marriage, and there's no correlation. So maybe
getting married or staying married?
Getting married. So staying married, there is a study that shows that like
but yeah, like every body that the girl has, it goes.
Actually, no, there's one study that shows this. It's from the Institute of Family Studies, and I think we've talked about.
You really
this
do
before.
your studies, yeah.
Yeah, I like my studies.
Told you.
This is like her thing. I know you said get statistics. And I'm driving here. I'm just listening to music and shit. Like
I know I didn't check out your content either because I was like, oh, but I'm sure it's great. But yeah, that one study shows that like 2 is worse than like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Why
8,
do
9.
girls
I'll quickly sum up the study. Okay, so here's how it goes. So it looks at body count and chance of staying married. So the people who are most likely to stay married is girls whose body count is 0,
and men whose body count is 0.
Yeah,
0 and 0.
Yeah, 0, 0. Then when it goes to 1, it jumps up. When it goes to 2, it jumps up even more. But here's something where interesting happened. When it goes to 3, it actually declines and it stays.
It's like a car.
Below 2,
you drive the car off the lot. It instantly loses
below
20%
2
of its
until
value.
you get to like 8 or 9, and
then it goes
passes
up
where
again.
2 is.
Yeah, so it's like a weird study
trend.
because then what you're basically saying is if you're going to go by, and this is really the only study that's found this. So it's like telling a girl who has 2 bodies, you might as well get like 3, 4. Because according to that study, you're going to be more likely to get married. So it's a weird thing to just go based off of. Now, I'm not saying
another important thing, just really quickly to point out, the author of the study, like a lot of people quote that graph, but not a lot of people have actually read like what the author of the study says. And one of the big things he talks about is that you can't ignore the religion factor. That is, there's a strong correlation effect between people who have lower bodies are much more likely to be religious, and religious people tend to get divorced a lot less because there's a lot more stigma in their community if you're like religious.
Yeah, one of the biggest things you can do to prevent divorce is attending church, like on a regular basis. That seems to be highly correlated.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking studies. I saw one where it's like if couples pray together every day, their chance of getting divorced is like 2%.
Yeah, and again,
I believe
if that's you, but like I'm an atheist, you're an atheist. We can't just make ourselves believe in this just so we can, like, you know what I mean? So people are just different. Is basically my point, and my qualm with the red pill is that they want to put everyone under one thing and they want to say, no, you guys are ruining your life objectively. Yep. And you just said that, so I want to know how I'm ruining my life.
Well, you were saying that you don't think that men would prefer a woman with less bodies. Like where have you gotten that? Is that from like the guys buying your OnlyFans?
I just said that like men are obviously still willing to wife up to the same extent. Maybe they get divorced, and a lot of times women initiate the divorce, so it doesn't seem like it's on the man's side. They're still willing to wife up bodies. I mean, Alex, do you care about a woman's like body count?
So I have more like a nuanced perspective where I'm somewhere in the middle. When it comes to casual sex, I don't care as long as she doesn't have any visible STDs. When it comes to
Visible.
when it comes to I can't like I'm not gonna fucking do like a laboratory test on her. Like, hang on, before I put it in, let me just take a little swab.
Hopefully you're using protection.
Send us to Quest. Yeah, we'll touch base in a few days. For relationships, if I look at like I've had 5 serious girlfriends. Natty, the girl with my 5th one, every single one of them has had a body count less than 15. If I look at that, now
What's the lowest?
There's
15's like that's pretty high. What's the lowest? I'm just curious.
the lowest was probably like 3 or 4.
What's
or
the
something.
highest that you would accept?
It is, to me, it's more than just a number.
Yeah.
I would say this: if it's like 100 or 200,
Yeah.
that would be a serious cause of concern. Not simply because of the body, that part I don't really care about so much. More about the fact that if she's fucked 100 guys, then she must be highly novelty driven, or she has validation issues. Both of those are red flags when it comes to relationship, right? So I would also look at things like her age, her career, how long she's been in relationships for. But there's, I think, better metrics that I personally look at, which is like the best
The
metric.
types of bodies.
No,
The best metric is her relationship with her family and friends. Like if a girl just cannot sustain friendships for a long period of time, or she has faulty relationships with her family, unless her family was abusive, that's I think the biggest indicator for me. But that's just me. Again, I have a more nuanced view on this, where like I kind of agree with the red pill, where it's like if it's like get to a ridiculous high number, like 100, 200, that's a red flag, but not just intrinsically because of the bodies, but because of what that signifies about her, versus that, I personally don't want a girl who has 0 bodies because she's gonna fucking suck in bed. I tend to go for girls who are like somewhere in the middle, who have some level of sexual experience, but they're also not highly novelty driven. They don't have validation issues, right? So something along the lines of that. I mean, I'm also like, I'm coming in with several hundred bodies, and I'm like dating girls like 7, 8 bodies. So it's like they also, if I go for a virgin, like a lot of them won't accept me. They're gonna look at me and they'll be like, "Dude, you're a total fucking degenerate."
Even me as like this is my like, even if a guy told me he has 200 bodies, I would just think that means maybe we're not compatible in lifestyle. Like that's what it shows to me. And you're right, just body count doesn't tell you that. Like, if you're like, oh, like I was just hanging out with someone yesterday who was like, oh, in my like 20s, I like went on this spree for like a couple years, but like now this is how I view sex. And it's like, to me, that's more of a signifier of where your relationship's going to go, how compatible you are, than literally the number of dicks inside of you. Like to me, what is that telling you that you think what's pertinent?
That's why you gotta like slowly sneak it in there. You gotta kind of warm it up. Be like, where girls like, oh, how many girls have you been with? Oh, I don't keep track. I don't know, here and there. Yeah, maybe like. Yeah.
But like, if I met someone and they're like, yeah, when I was in my I toured the world and I did this, but like now this is kind of how I view sex. I'm more monogamy driven, and I'm monogamy driven, and like, then I don't care. But if someone's like, oh, I had 200 bodies in this past year, I'd be like, okay, you're probably partying a lot. I don't drink, I don't party, so I'm like, we're probably not going to have anything to do on a Friday night because you want to go do this and I want to go do that. Like to me, that's.
So you're saying the more recent history is what's more important?
I would say that matters. I would say that matters because the number of dicks, I don't know what information that gives you that's the best, and that is the best way to measure that. Like, unless you literally are just insecure and you want to know how many men she's comparing you to, that is the only way that the body count is the best metric. Because then you're just like, okay, I want to know how many people she's comparing me to.
Well, what about the point I made about, I'm sorry, not to get too involved, but about the potential of validation issues and novelty-driven behavior if the body counts.
Well,
really
then
high.
that would be something that I would say is like recent. Like, what if it's a woman who in her like 20s, or like early 20s, maybe she did have validation issues, but she's worked on it and now she seems like really mature and has her life together. Then that to me is like a bigger indicator.
Yeah, that would be a rare exception, but that would be an acceptable exception.
Yeah, but what's
if I feel like she actually did.
You can go on the sidelines of the street,
or she just has high sociosexuality and she likes sexual novelty, which may not work for you, but may work for somebody else. I feel
like a swinger.
My point is that there are people for everybody, and there are men who do not give a fuck, and there are men who really want it to be 0. And I think that's okay. The only men I think that are going to have a problem are the men who expect the 0 with like 300 bodies. Like,
I think the average guy, here's my spec. I think the average guy is kind of like me, where they take a more nuanced approach to it. They don't have like a strict cutoff, but if they see a girl with several hundred bodies, they're going to be like, okay, I don't know if I want to date her. That's a red flag. Maybe,
Well, I think the average guy, if we're talking like literally the average dude, that they're so desperate nowadays that they don't even think about a lot of like the red pill sphere.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that.
Realistically, the red pill sphere maybe only has 5-10% of like young guys that have actually watched it.
I don't know.
I mean, all of my friends that I know at college, like.
So I'll qualify my statement: the average guy who's successful with girls.
Yes,
Okay.
the average guy
Which is like
successfully
5%.
because the average guy, that's a fucking sad.
Yeah, the
that's
average
sad.
guy will take anything and
Well,
everything.
no. The average red pillar is fucking sad. Would you say the average guy is fucking sad? Like,
I would say
this
the
is
average
thing. Like,
guy is
I
more
actually
sad.
love telling people about the red pill because I think it's so fucking
No,
hilarious.
because average
And no
guys
one
are
knows about
naive
it.
to it. I think that
Maybe
average
in
guys are just
Miami-
naive to it.
Maybe in Miami, like this is like red pill central. Like you'll be walking down the street and someone's like, "What's your body count?" But in more normal places, this is not like. I ask everyone. I'll be at the cashier. I'll be like, "Have you heard of the red pill? Have you heard of the manosphere?" Like no one's heard.
Well, that
of it.
was kind of my point.
Yeah.
But I've been with girls that were 304s, as I guess you guys would say. So they've slept around with a bunch of people. Like there was this one girl in my freshman year of college that I met her at the cafeteria, invited her over for a movie that night, and then she came back to my room. And I was naive to all this red pill stuff. I never heard of like Andrew Tate. I never heard of any of this stuff in my life. I only heard like what, fucking the Disney Channel shit. Like you should get them flowers, you should be a little simp, all this different bullshit. And a week later, after hanging out basically every day, she went to a frat party. So I was sleeping over her dorm room. We woke up and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to this frat party." So her and her friends get dressed in all pink, whatever the bullshit
I
theme
think
was
I know how the story
at
ends.
the time. And so
Wait,
she
I
goes, I go back to my room and I look at her friend's private story and she's making out with a frat guy. And I was just like,
Oh, that's
bro,
less bad than I thought. I thought she got fucked by a frat guy.
I'm probably. I don't fucking know. I saw her making out with the frat guy and I was just like, damn, like that fucking sucks. But if I saw the red flags that I would have known, that I know now earlier, I would have never.
Well, I would
emotionally invested
argue
into
the
her.
bigger. Did you ever have sex with her or make out with her during that time period?
Yeah, both.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
I mean,
Like we were together like
Okay,
most of the
okay,
day,
okay.
and then like we'd sleep over each
Gotcha.
other's place,
Okay.
which is like it was so interesting. And then
Okay.
she kept going on being a whore, just like sleeping with a bunch of different dudes. And then now she has a boyfriend, and like I can't even tell you like how low I look at that guy that's dating her.
That's fine. The same way I look at women who date red pillars. Like it's all just perspective, right? My best advice to people like you is surround yourself, because I'm sure even your university.
But it's not just me. Like I can almost guarantee every guy that looks at the dude and her dating, they know that it's not going to work out, which actually I think they just broke up, which is funny enough. And they just have no respect for that dude.
I don't
She's
think
been
it's
around the whole team. And he's the only one that she was able to keep around.
Look, I don't know this girl, so I'm not going to talk about her specifically, but no, this isn't a thing that men like walk around and they're like, "Oh, she made out with somebody in college in a frat. She's such a," and no one respects him. Like, let me tell you something. Like, going to law school, my mom, like, I have a whole family that was like super high up in academia. They do not look at the world like this way. Like, this is just not a thing. Even if they have personal
I do
issues
agree
with
you
it.
to an extent. Like a lot of normal, like I said, normal people are pretty naive to a lot of this stuff. They just don't think about it.
No, it's not that they don't
To
think
throw out
about
like a
it. No. I
counterexample,
would say that it's
oh,
not
go
that educated people don't think about it or know
I'm not
about
saying
it.
educated. I said average person.
Yeah, but the reason that they don't see it this way is because they are educated, because they're not like walking around going whore. Like, I have never had somebody that's high level, has a high powered job in my comment section on Instagram calling me a whore. This is just not how
Well,
they
yeah,
behave.
obviously people in comment sections.
They're using anonymous
Retard.
accounts, Jasmine. Okay, they have too much to lose.
Yeah, no, those are the
it's
people
just-
on anonymous
you can
accounts.
tell
buying
But
the
OnlyFans.
ones
give
that
a-
I've said this before, the ones that are typing like that, everything's misspelled. They're not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all right. Comment section people are like they're retards.
Okay, sure.
That's
Okay,
the
fine.
lowest barrel. Except people in my comments. You guys are all awesome. Except the
But
trolls.
like,
I wish I could
if
say
you
the
look
same,
at like a
man.
Ben
They're
Shapiro,
pretty
he's really educated too, but he's able to live this life because he lives in an Orthodox Jewish community. He found like people that agree with him and his values. He's able to find a woman that's a virgin and live. But for some reason, all these guys are like, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this, because they're sitting here watching OnlyFans girls and they're like, I don't know how to get a girl that's not on OnlyFans. Everyone's on OnlyFans. You know how many women are on OnlyFans? Even if they were all in the United States, because it's like 2 million creators, which half of them are inactive all over the world, including men and women. And then if you were to really even pretend they were all in the United States, all between the
It's
ages
less
of
than
20,
1%.
it's 0.01%. But yet these guys are watching this kind of content because they have no real world experience. And they're like, how do you find a girl that's not on OnlyFans?
One funny point about Ben Shapiro is his wife is not trad. She's a doctor. She's a practicing doctor.
Yeah. But
she works like 50 hours a week.
well, okay. That's that element of trad. I agree with you. But a lot of those people in higher education, they don't end up marrying like trad.
Yeah.
They end up marrying like trad doctors or trad lawyers.
Yeah.
Which is another thing the red pill gets wrong, that these kind of men don't like educated women. No, that's not true.
Is that an argument in the red pill?
yeah, they say that, oh, the more educated you are, even though the more educated you are, the more likely you are to get married. So they just don't know statistics. They just don't know facts. And that educated men are less likely to marry uneducated women. Like they think the doctor is going to go marry a barista. That's really unlikely.
Yeah, so I'm like, would you say intelligence is an important factor for you for getting into a relationship? Like for me, I can't date a dumb girl. I can fuck a dumb
I
girl all
agree.
day, but she has to be at
Okay.
least above average intelligence, I would say, is a prerequisite
Yeah,
for me.
so like, I mean, depends on what segment of the red pill you're looking at, but just because I've done fresh and fit 3 times, that's a trope. They like, a man doesn't care about your intelligence.
Yeah, no, I agree with. I
Yeah.
mean, I agree with Fresh and Fit on a lot of stuff, and I disagree with them on a lot. And like, I've been with. So I actually used to have this point of view where I was like, it doesn't matter how smart they are. I used to say this in my videos, and I think one of the beautiful things about me making content so young is like you can see my progress so
Mhm.
rapidly in the way that I changed my
Yeah.
mind.
And you
But-
will continue to do so.
Agreed.
You'll stop.
I don't
calling
think I'm
people
gonna change
whores
my
in a
mind
few
on
years.
OnlyFans. No,
No,
I've
maybe you
railed
won't
some.
change your mind, but maybe your rhetoric will
I've
change.
railed some whores, but I don't think I'm gonna be marrying any of them. But what were we talking about?
It'd be funny 5 years from now he winds up with an OnlyFans.
That would be hilarious if we tune back to this. And I'm
I'll,
actually
I'll
with some
just I'll
OnlyFans
just
girl.
clip it and like
Wait, what were we talking about?
you
though?
were talking about.
One thing I just wanted to add. So you guys were talking about the intelligence, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So basically, I mean, when the biggest red pill is they basically say you shouldn't care about the woman's intelligence, right? Well, if she's going to bear your child, then half of the woman's intelligence is going to come to the child.
I agree.
Yeah,
So you're gonna give
IQ
it a
is like
No,
No,
because
no,
you
so
see,
hereditary.
if you're
God
if you're
is-
alpha enough, the child only gets your genetics. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You
It's
gotta
only
be
going to be an X chromosome.
you gotta be
not X.
really alpha though.
Yeah,
to
I
pull
mean,
that off.
IQ is highly hereditary. Maternal education is actually one of the #1 predictors of childhood success and well-being. Like,
But let's let
across-
Sonny
you
expand
know,
on how he changed his view on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, yeah. So I used to think similar to Fresh and Fit, like it really doesn't matter how smart they are. And then when I moved to Miami, I had a girl over for the weekend who was a bimbo. Like she was just really not smart at all. Like she couldn't even order her own food. Like it was almost like she wasn't actually retarded, but she was so
She can't order
so
her own food. She might
submissive.
be.
What's that thing that you can do? Is that the kinkiness test that you were talking about?
Sociosexuality?
No, it's like the rice test or some
Oh no,
shit.
I've never heard of that.
Well, she's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh.
She's like the most 0%, like ultra submissive, and it was too much for me. Like I just didn't.
I don't know if that's submissiveness, not being able to order your own food. I've been with some very submissive.
No,
girls.
she wants you to do everything.
I would
Like
call
she,
that more
she
like
wants you
laziness.
to
So
approve
quiet.
her order.
No, like
I would call
I-
that like
almost like-
laziness and sloth. Honestly,
I know her. Like she's not lazy. It's literally she just wants you to do everything. Like she's just one of those really daintier girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was just too much. And
Yeah.
right there, I was
a
like,
princess.
I
type of thing.
can't have this because I had to go out and do business all day. Like I was doing a
Yeah.
podcast, I was going to a meeting, and she didn't leave my room all day. And I was like, if she's like, I'm hungry, I'm like, I was like, are you shitting me? Like, all right, let's go to Chipotle. And then
I haven't used the bathroom in 8 hours.
I
I,
know,
don't
but I
know
was-
how to open door.
I swear to God, I was
But
like, all
she
right,
doesn't have thirst traps on Instagram. Is
well,
that-
that's a red flag. But then yeah, and then I also analyzed. I was like, a lot of the way I am, a big reason the way I am nowadays and everything is because of my mom. The way that she raised me, a lot of the values that she instilled in me. Like my dad was away at the military a lot of the time. And then I would see him, every couple months when I was growing up. Like he's always been in my life. He's never like one of those going out for milk kind
Yeah.
of dads at all. But yeah, like I have a lot of respect for my mom. And if she was just some dumb bitch, like I wouldn't be where I am.
I want to redirect. You said something interesting earlier. You said that you disagree with some things about Fresh Fit and you agree some things. I think all the things you disagree with, she will agree with. But what are the things that you agree with Fresh and Fit on? I think there could be a juicy discussion there.
All right. So what are some of the Fresh and Fit's biggest talking points, I guess? So like, don't date whores. I agree with that. I really don't watch them
While
religiously.
they simultaneously all date
Well,
whores.
Date whores.
yeah, I know that's the funny. Like it's like a lot of these guys like they do
But the
date
principle
whores.
you
Like it's
agree
like,
with, yeah.
Difference,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you're a really impressive young man. You're really successful. It seems like you're really trying to like stick by your values instead of doing like this weird cognitive dissonance thing they do. But I think it's a good idea for us because I don't know much about you. So I'm just tying you in with what I know about the red pill. So a lot of that is Fresh and Fit stuff. So like, yeah, if you could tell me what you agree with, then we could find out what we disagree on. Instead, we shouldn't look at their personal behavior because
I'm just
we all
trying.
know.
Like I don't really watch them like that much. Like what are some of the biggest points that they push? So like I don't know. I guess like become strong as a guy, make
Okay.
as much money as possible. Like I think that's obviously important. As you get older and you progress as a man, you get more sexual access. So that's why your priority for getting girls should not be going out and chasing girls. It should be improving yourself.
Do you think that when you get the sexual access, you should run wild with it? Like, do you think that what's your
No.
thought on? Okay, so you think like you? Oh, go for it. So you
No.
think that? Oh yeah, did I steal yours? Were you supposed to give me one?
You have one right there.
No.
Oh,
It's honestly tough because like I'm pretty bad about it. Like I'll still hook up with girls and stuff. Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't, and I'm some fucking angel.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like my body count's like under 20. Like it's not that crazy, and
it's higher than what mine was when I was 20. But then mid
But you also
20s,
weren't a multimillionaire at 20. I'm assuming.
I was a fucking virgin simp, but mid 20s I caught up. Okay, so here's two big things I think you guys might have disagreements on. Number one, hypergamy. That's a big thing they talk about, is that women are constantly looking to trade up. Essentially, they almost make it seem like if you're in a relationship and a higher value guy comes along, there's a good chance your girl will just like leave for that guy. Another thing that, well, I'm not gonna mention.
I disagree and agree with that actually.
Okay, and then let me just send the second thing. You guys can go. The second thing, which is I find the most egregious, is their formula for attraction. Like what makes girls attractive? How do you become more attractive as a man? It seems to be that it comes down to fitness and resources and self-improvement, but they don't really quantify that really. But I think a huge part of it comes down to like resources. And when Myron talks about like what is like, what do you bring to a girl in a relationship, and what does she bring to you? It seems that what he says is what you bring to the relationship is safety and resources. Now, the safety element is mute because in Miami, like you fucking have buildings here with doormen. Like most girls living in Miami don't need you to fucking protect her. So then we got the resources part, which essentially boils down to money. And what does the girl bring? Well, she brings sex, cooking, and cleaning. That seems to be like really the way he sees it. So I guess the follow-up, my thought would be, would you agree with that formula? Or do you think it's whack? But you can start off with the hypergamy if you want.
So the hypergamy regarding if a guy comes in and can take your girl. So I don't know. I think it kind of depends, and I think it's on where a woman is in her life and how desperate she is for a serious partner. So maybe when they're younger and it's more so puppy love, then I think that they're more likely to stay together because she's not necessarily looking for. Well, nowadays girls aren't necessarily at 20 years old looking for the guy that they're going to be with forever and that's going to protect and provide for them. But then once they get closer to like that 27, 30-year-old mark and they're with this guy and they see he's not really, he's not making as much money as they want, they kind of are tapping more into their feminine nature and they want to be able to raise kids and stay at home like I think a lot of women do, then they would it's almost like
it's interesting.
He's renting the girl.
Hypergamy graph. If you look at it, it's like, so as women started entering the workforce, I mean, there's an argument that women were never hypergamous because if you look at history, women, even before they entered the workforce, typically people just made a cross status, a cross socioeconomic status. Women typically married men at the same status of their fathers for most of history. And then now that women enter the workforce, they're becoming more and more okay with dating men who make as much or even less than them. So this idea
is that actually a true statistic?
You think that women are okay with men making less than them?
They're becoming more and more okay.
I'm sure they're becoming, like if you look at it like the percentage, it's getting closer to that. But I don't think overall a girl's going to respect a guy if she's making more money.
The one study I saw is that people tend to date within their socioeconomic class. So poor girls date poor guys, middle class girls date middle class guys, rich girls
and
date
it's
rich
across
guys.
everything. It's across
Is that what? So there was a study proving that.
That was the only stuff I never
it's
saw.
It's called the sortative mating, and it's called
cross.
the sortative mating or the similarity attraction hypothesis, which is one of the most well-researched hypotheses in like the theory of attraction. And it's one of the because a lot of people, when you bring this up, like the Rolos are like, oh, replication crisis. This actually is not affected by the replication crisis. This is like a fact that people typically are even attracted to people who match them. And yes, women are, because before when women didn't make money, of course you needed someone to support you. But now, when women are making money, you want someone who's like your equal, but it's not like a necessity anymore. So you are seeing women who like don't care as much about a man providing for them.
I've done thousands of public interviews and I've probably never met a girl that would say that they're okay with the guy making less than them. It's always equal or more.
That's not a study though, right? Like there's a reason that you can't
that's personal experience.
I
think that you saying like this is I guess goes back to a lot of the stuff that you believe is almost detrimental if people follow it. Like you saying, oh, as a guy, like it's okay if you make less money than the girl. I think that's just like shooting yourself in the foot, or shooting guys in the fucking feet, telling them that. I think it's just terrible advice. Because if you're dating a girl and she makes more money than you, you need to work your fucking ass off to be be ahead of her and become the leader in the
But you don't have
relationship.
to do that. You don't like. You don't have
But
to.
you
that.
do. Like,
Not
I think
really.
that
And
the
again, most
relationship's
people
just gonna go to
across.
shit if you don't.
Like
This
people,
is like, but this
people
is
who make
natural over thousands of
$30,000 or
years.
fast food workers typically marry other fast food workers. And you're saying working class or poor people don't have good relationships, or they're not.
That's not what I'm saying. I agree. Obviously,
Nitsi,
like,
can you grab
if-
me the kava over there?
if you
Sorry,
grow
keep
up in the hood, like, obviously you're more likely to marry someone growing up in the hood. If you grow up in Beverly Hills, obviously you're more likely to marry someone that lives in Beverly Hills as well. But I think for like normal people, middle class or even upper middle class, if you as the guy are not paying for all the dinners, if you have to split dinners with a girl, if you are splitting rent with her, I think that a lot of, and she has to work hard, especially like if she has to go to work for 40 hours a week, she's not going to come at home and want to respect you. And you're
That
not going to, she's not able to tap into
I
her.
don't know.
You're
I
wrong.
split dinners with my girl all the
Yeah, this is
time.
what I mean.
Really?
You're
Yeah, we've
wrong.
been
Like
together
you're
for
just
4
wrong.
years.
People are
Why, like,
changing.
why though? Like, you don't,
because-
you make money, right? Like,
I
why-
make money, but she also makes good money
I mean, like,
too.
so I make money. I don't care if I.
I've
split
never
everything.
had a girl pay for anything.
Yeah,
that
that's
to.
great, and you may attract women who are looking for money. But I also think
I think that naturally women are looking, not necessarily looking for money, but they are looking for the guy that makes those gestures.
yeah,
Maybe it's just the girls I'm looking for.
that's true.
But-
But also, that's my point. Is that before now that women are starting to make more and more money, we care about that less. Yeah, if I was making no money, I'd want a guy who could give me the lifestyle. But now I make 7 figures a year too. So like, what? I don't care. Like, I don't care how much money you make. I care about different things. So
Slide in Jazmen DMs if you want a sugar mama.
my point is,
So
like,
you would date a guy that only makes, like, I mean, like,
yeah.
you're an OnlyFans girl.
Literally,
yeah.
I'm looking. If anyone wants to know, I'm looking for a really hot chef because I can't cook. Like, I'm looking for the homemaker role.
Oh, Mia Khalifa's ex-fiance.
I wanna get, like, people are just, the world is
So
changing.
you're
people are
looking for
different.
the stay-at-home cook. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
honestly, I am. And this is the thing. When you say it's shooting men in the foot, I think it's shooting men in the foot to tell them that their status, like their role as a man, is to be an ATM machine. Like, I
That's
don't
not
think.
what I'm saying.
But
at
my
all,
point
though.
is this: like, masculinity
you're her
and
rock.
what
Like,
makes
you're
a
her-
man. Let me finish. What makes a man in 2024 is not what used to make a man. So if you tell men that their value isn't how strong they are, the ability to fight people on the street, which is, again, like he was saying, even in Miami, which I think Miami's dangerous compared to where I live. Like, you know, I'm going to Trader Joe's. Like, who's gonna? I don't need protection, right? Like. Or you're telling them that's where their worth is, or that manual labor, which manual labor is also really important, but they're like at risk for automation and stuff. So if you're saying your brute force, your ability to throw a spear and use a sword, and also your ability to provide when a lot of women now can provide for themselves, that's what makes you a man, then men who don't have those things feel like they have nothing. Like, I think being
Well, what the fuck do
masculine,
men that
the
don't
idea
have
of
money that-
masculinity needs to expand into more than just money and brute strength.
So what is masculinity to you
Just
then?
the same way that, so there was this was another study, is that women, they was found that what women find value in, right? And women now, because of feminism and this push to like make women now feel value with their jobs, they feel value in their role as a mother, etc. Whereas men still don't feel good like just being a father. Like, they feel like they have to do more. I think masculinity can also be just being a really good dad. Like, you don't have to go make a bunch of money. You don't have to go, you know, sword fight anymore. Like, you can
I
just
can bridge the gap here because my position is somewhere in between you two. Okay, there's so much I wanted to say as you guys were talking, but I didn't want to interrupt. So you're asking, what do you bring to the table then if it's not money? Well, I think the biggest thing, there's several things you bring to the table, but really fucking her really well, being good in bed, which I know a lot of rep pillars say women's sexual pleasure doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm doing the Donald Trump voice, but yeah, like
Yeah, no, that
but
obviously-
actually, if you can fuck, like, at the end of the day, maybe 5% of guys are good in bed, probably even less. So if you're one of those guys that makes her come like crazy, that's a big ass to bring advantage. Number two is you're bringing basically an emotional connection, some kind of, you know, and that
I was
comes
gonna get there.
yeah, like that is really huge that no one
And,
Red
you know,
Pill
that's the
talks
thing
about.
Red
Emotional
Pill doesn't
intelligence.
talk about.
Doesn't talk about, but really when you're talking about being her rock, a lot of that isn't externally, it's internally. It's like you're a problem
Agreed.
solver. So she comes to you and she's like, hey, I'm having this issue. You can solve that problem for her. You can be very grounded during times of stress, right? So she can, like, if she's in a state of distress, she can come to you and you're very calm and collected and you help her address that. Almost being stoic in a way.
It's almost like how you looked at your father as a child. That's kind of the way I look
but
at
this
it.
is my point. You could look at your father, who is maybe like a janitor, but he gets up every day and he goes and does that. I don't think him making less money, it makes him less of a man than Andrew Tate. I don't think that, like, I don't think your manhood is contingent upon what job you have or how much money you make. I don't think that's
I'm
what it
not
is.
saying like that. I don't think, did I ever say that how much money you make determines how much?
To be
of a
fair,
man
no,
are?
you did not.
You
no.
didn't.
I don't think I said
okay.
that at all, because like I have uncles. I'll tell you a story right now. So like I kind of used to think like that, because like I was 18 years old in my college dorms when we made millions of dollars. Like obviously that's fucking
Yeah.
fucks with your head a little bit. And so we were at my family's condo in Boynton Beach, and at this condo it was me, my friend, and my uncle who was a firefighter in 9/11. And I remember some like old kid from high school like commented on a thing, and I was like, oh well, it's okay, they can all get fucked now, I have more money than all of them. And my uncle looked at me, who literally almost died in 9/11. He was like, just because you have more money doesn't make you any better than anybody else. And that stuck with me. Like I'd never bragged about money ever again in my life.
When you said
And
that
it's
you're
like-
shooting men in the foot by saying that it's okay if you make less money than a woman,
But
why? Why is that shooting men in the foot? Why can't you make less
because
money?
you should always be striving for more as a guy. If you make less in the moment, okay, it's okay to make less money as a guy when you're in a relationship. It's not okay to stay complacent making
I
less
think what
money
you're
as a
talking
guy.
about is
You have
being-
to be
I
progressive.
think what you're talking about more is not money, but having ambition and drive.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
different, but that's different. You could have ambition and drive
I
of
do
being
agree
an
that
artist.
having ambition and drive is something that's very attractive to women.
Yeah, but
I think that's one
why
of the
do you
biggest
think
things. And
women
that
women lose their minds over like artists who are broke or like SoundCloud rappers sometimes and they have no money? It's because they like their ambition, they like their drive. It's not about dollar amount. And so yeah, I think a couple that can strive and grow together is good, but this idea where a man is like, I must make more money than her is toxic.
But the one other thing I would add, here's what I find problematic with some of the red pill view, the whole idea that like, okay, you got to pay for everything, you pay for, or at least pay for, let's just talk about just dinners and vacations and all of that. Well, I find that actually lowers the chance of your relationship working out because that makes her glued to you, her attraction to you more superficial. There's always a guy who's willing to splurge more money on her. There's always going to be a guy, no matter how much you make, there's always going to be a guy who's willing to do more on her. And that's something that's very easily traded up. And that's, I think, where the like all these red pill guys get into problems. Where like, oh, these girls are all trading up a hypergamous. Yeah, because you're going for girls that care about external things excessively. And also the main thing you're bringing to the table is external things.
Yeah.
Right. But if that's why I prefer like
she doesn't like you. She likes the money.
But like I know, for example, like if me and my girlfriend go halvesies on everything, but she's not in it for the money, right? If I'm not,
I think that there's other ways that you can tell if a girl's in it for the money, though. Like I'm not out here going like, "Hey, bitch, you want to go to Bali like right now? Just take a $20,000 vacation."
No, I get it. You're more in the middle.
Like
yeah.
I'm just traditional. Like I buy the dinners. If I was to take a girl very seriously, which I'm 20 years old, I'm not in the place for that right now.
Of course.
Then I would be the one paying the rent. I wouldn't even consider, okay, yeah, you want to move in with me? I need
And
$1,800 a month. Like what the
but
fuck?
His or people who go halfsies are also fine. That's my point. Is that in a traditional relationship?
Yeah, but I think, like I said, I think it's temporary to do halfsies with a wife.
No.
That's just my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But the
Like,
whole point is,
no, but I'm saying optimally, because obviously if we're looking in average US couples and we're trying to be realistic, you need two incomes nowadays to be able to live. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, if the woman works, the relationship's not going to work out. Obviously that's fucking ridiculous to say, but I think that a more optimal relationship is where the guy is making the money and he's providing.
I mean, if you look at the people, yeah, if you just to bring in some evidence for this, if you look at the longest lasting marriages, etc., it seems to be amongst highly educated people who are both making like money.
We're gonna change Jasmine's name from 304 lawyer to statistics lawyer.
No.
Yeah, I know.
And so the point of this
304
is like,
statistics.
my point of this is like if you go to a law firm and two lawyers are dating, it's not that the norm is now the guy pays for everything. Like you both are working at the same firm, you're making money. Like me too. Like I don't care if every time you're paying $50 for my pasta, like I'll pay $50 this time too. Like this idea that it has to be this way, it doesn't even seem like I haven't seen anything to show that men who always pay for everything, that those relationships end up better. I don't see that anywhere, especially because in the demographic that's getting married the most, the only demographic whose marriage rates are going up and not down, and the ones who are least likely to get divorced is highly educated couples. And usually if you're getting a higher education, unless you want to go to OnlyFans like me, you're getting a job and you're working and you're making an income. And those women that are making an income, like what, they're just all their money is theirs and the guy pays for everything. I mean, sure, that sounds fun.
I would add just one bit of nuance to my argument that I didn't mention before. You said you're like a multimillionaire. So me and my girlfriend make and have about similar levels of money. I make slightly more than her. My expenses are higher, so we're about the same. If I was like a multimillionaire, I probably would pay for a lot more shit. But that's not based out of like my desire to like be the man who pays for shit. I would do the same exact thing with my friends. Like Like
Yeah.
when I go out with my friends who don't really have any money, I typically pick up the
I'm
bill.
the same way.
When I go out
Yeah.
with friends who have a lot more money than me, they
Same,
typically
yeah.
pick up the bill. So it's
Yeah.
more of just like a act of kindness. So I would.
If
that-
she was a
I would also
millionaire and
do
you
this-
were a millionaire, you wouldn't pay for everything and then she pays for nothing.
Yeah,
like,
no, of
it's
course
just
not.
a
Yeah.
weird
Yeah,
thing.
but if
just
she's
because
like
you're a
middle
man.
class and I'm a millionaire, yeah, I
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
would just because I like her.
And that's why I'm
Just
gonna
like I would with
I will
friends.
pay, I will fund my hot chef completely. Like because I'm assuming my hot chef makes less than
He's a good cook.
But like, so what kind of guy are you going for where you would be basically paying all the bills and he would be cooking all day? Like, what does that guy look like?
like physically, I mean that's
Or
different.
just like, I don't know.
I like guys that are really intelligent, that can make me think, that are really funny, that can take me outside of my comfort zone. Like
So
those
that'll
are the
probably
things
be
that
like
matter.
a more artsy or
I like artsy
liberal
guys.
guy.
Yeah. Oh, I like liberal guys for sure. I don't
Okay.
like trad guys because I'm not a
Okay,
trad
no, I'm
woman.
just trying to like
Yeah, I'm not- I
understand.
know, I
And
know.
if like the only scenario I see that working in, I don't see any like Trump supporting conservative guys.
Of course,
going for
and I
that.
don't like Trump
I see like the
supporters.
artsy NYU, maybe
That's my type. That's literally my type. And my point is
in like
that
in like
can
an
be my
early
type.
2000s movie where
I mean, I don't know about early 2000s movie. Like you're still young, so maybe you haven't seen a lot of the world. So you're still very much in, I haven't seen this, therefore it must not exist. So I'm telling you that, yeah, us NYU, whatever people can go off and mate together and you can find yourself, and you will, because you're a really impressive person. And you're like, I think you're going to find,
thank you. I
I
appreciate
think you're
it.
going to find a girl that's going to be everything that you want. The difference is I'm not here telling you that your lifestyle is going to make you unhappy, but you're sitting here telling me mine will inevitably. And that's the thing that's what I have contention with.
Because you do OnlyFans. Because
I do
that.
OnlyFans, and because you think us quote unquote degenerates now like are miserable, or like we can't find people that like us or whatever. This is just not true.
I didn't necessarily say you'll never find someone that likes you. Clearly, people like you if they're giving you money just to talk to you.
Let me pose this question for both of you. What kind of evidence would you need to see to change your perspective on this? And what kind of evidence would you need to see to change your perspective on the OnlyFans thing?
If I saw that it was causing like really catastrophic outcomes, like if a lot of the women were just, I think even then I would still I'm a freedom person. Like I want people to have the freedom, but even now, like there's stigma associated with it. There are potential consequences. So I'm like, okay, that's why I don't think it's good for everybody. Like I think it's actually I think OnlyFans is only a good idea for a very small percentage of women, to be honest. I don't think it's like an 18 years old, start an OnlyFans. Sure. I also don't think you should get married at 18 years old. I don't think you should make serious decisions at 18 years old in general.
But his perspective is that OnlyFans is essentially not good for any girl. So is there any evidence that you could see that would get you to change your mind on that?
That it's not good for any girl?
He's not talking about making it illegal or anything like that. He's just talking about
I just think it's
from an ethical perspective.
From an
it's
ethical
like one of the last
perspective?
It's like one of the last.
But it's really, that's a really hard question.
Like are you close with your family?
Very close.
Like what if when you go home and it's like, hey dad, like I made $1 million, stuffing
they don't
cucumbers
like
in
it.
my cooter this month. Like
yeah. But this
It's
is the
like-
thing. Like, what if, like, when people do the disappoint your parents argument, I always am like, this has nothing to do with OnlyFans. Because let's say, like, my parents are Middle Eastern. Let's say they were really disappointed in me because I wanted to marry a Christian, or because I was an atheist, or because whatever. Then all of a sudden, people think the parents are unreasonable. And then it doesn't matter if you disappoint your parents, right? So for me, I don't think you should live life for your parents. I tend to be in a more individualistic.
But what do they think about it? Like,
They don't agree with it, but we still have a good relationship because they love me, and like, what are they going to do? So we're really close. So they didn't talk to me for like 3-4 months, and then they were like, well, there's nothing we can do, we don't accept it, but like we still love you, kind of like don't ask, don't tell. I talk to them every day. I'm really close with both my parents. So yeah, that's
let me
our
pose
dynamic.
the same question to you, suppose to Jazmen. What kind of evidence would you need to see to change your perspective? And specifically, her argument is that OnlyFans probably doesn't work for most girls, but for some girls it's good. That's your argument? Yeah. So is there any evidence that you could see that would get you to change your perspective on this?
I feel like this might not sound great, but it's not necessarily based off of like evidence, because I think that a lot of the evidence is coming too. So like a lot of this, like you said, OnlyFans is what, 6 years old. A lot of this social media stuff, posting bikini pictures online, is what, 6 to 8 years old max, when Instagram was invented. So I think that realistically, a lot of this stuff is going to show consequences down the line. I think it's going to be a bigger issue, actually, not just the OnlyFans, but with the girls posting bikini pictures online. If you look at like my mom, my grandma back in the day, you can't find anything like that of them back then.
Well, I would argue. Oh, sorry.
So no, but yeah, nowadays with them posting constant bikini pics and just promiscuous shit, like you have your titties out right now for views at the end of the day. when you get older and you become less attractive, I know this is kind of one of those red pill talking points too, but a lot of that attention dries up and then your self-worth gets kind of fucking railed.
I don't think anyone should do OnlyFans for self-worth. Like, I didn't have any
You just do it. So you do it just for the bag, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't even have an Instagram until I was 26.
Mm.
I had nothing. So yeah, I don't think girls who are doing it for validation don't do anything for validation. I think doing anything for validation is a bad idea.
So what do you all right, this is another question. What do you think a lot of these girls posting on fucking Instagram, just like posting their titties on Instagram, basically, like that's what it is? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that, but I want to just make a quick point about what you just said. So I would actually argue the opposite about social trends, because I actually think this will become less of a problem as time goes on, because the biggest issue with sex work is the stigma and like the scarlet letter that people used to get, and that is changing. We're becoming, our attitudes, if you look at polling even on things like casual sex, on things like sex work, on things like many
only
things.
people that win with casual sex are the simpy guys. Like that's the funny thing.
Actually, don't simpy guys not win?
And well,
I win with casual sex. I'm not a simp.
maybe
No.
Oh, that's like the big
I'm
one.
not
So
talking about who's
you'd
winning. I'm
consider
talking about
yourself like more
attitudes.
alpha. So realistically,
I
you
never
would be
use that term, but yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm
though.
good with girls.
Like
yeah.
you seem like you have your shit more together more than the average guy. So realistically, like if women weren't so promiscuous, you'd still be getting some play.
No, that's not
But,
my point.
I would get a
So,
lot
like,
less
My
play.
point
When
is
I
that
see
social attitudes are shifting. Like, my point is that people don't, it's not going to ruin your life anymore. And it's probably the way that things are shifting. They're going more and more into OnlyFans not being catastrophic to your
What
life.
do you think about the girls that get into OnlyFans and they think it's one of the worst decisions that they've ever made and they're nearly suicidal over it?
Yeah, you know how many lawyers have like the highest rates of suicide, depression, alcoholism? Would you say being
Well, I
a
don't
lawyer
think
is a
that
bad
women
idea?
should be lawyers either. So.
Okay, well, okay, that's an interesting argument. My point is, again, it's not for everybody. But yeah, like lawyers also, if you were to just look at the unhappiness rate in a profession, then women shouldn't be lawyers either. Like that, but most people
No one
don't.
should be lawyers. I think.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. I think lawyers
there's
are,
a 7% job happiness rate amongst
Right.
lawyers.
I think
I think
well,
the happiest job is like logging.
I
or
think
something.
lawyers are almost more scummy than all. Like,
Okay, fair point. But my point here is that they're not 304s though, and they maybe have issues for other reasons. My point is that, yeah, some people really regret this, and I think that's why, like I said, that I don't think anyone should jump into this willy-nilly. But I actually do.
it's a
think,
life-altering decision. You agree with that? Once
Yes.
you decide to do an OnlyFans forever, you are an OnlyFans girl.
Yeah, okay. It depends also. Like, okay, this idea that the red pill has that you post like one picture and you make like $10 and then like your life is ruined and then the guy's going to leave you at the altar and all your bosses are going to find. No, if you get to my level, yeah. If you get to this, like if you become a 0.01 OnlyFans girl, that's going to be something that's going to be on your record for a while. But we also don't know what the world's going to look like in 20, 30 years. I mean, even look at the last 10 years, how far attitudes have shifted on things like gay marriage, etc. Now, there may be some people who still are like, no, but if you look at the percentage of people that are okay with stuff now versus 20 years ago and 30 years ago, the world is becoming, quote unquote, like you said, more degenerate. And if
Jazmen,
the world
just as a quick counterpoint, though, it is likely on some things, but there's also a lot of things for which attitudes haven't shifted, like abortion. The attitudes on that haven't shifted in the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah, but abortion, people's like that still
Are
is
you
like
pro-abortion or
I'm
pro-choice?
pro-choice. Yeah, I'm
Pro-abortion.
Well, that's like
That's
kind of
what
a
they
thing
call it now.
nowadays.
But my point is that is because like the people who are pro-life think you're killing somebody. So like, but if you look at gay marriage,
Yeah,
that's
that one
really
has changed.
shifted because people,
Gay marriage, marijuana.
people connecting morality with
Porn,
sexual purity, that is really separating. But if you think you're killing a life, like our views on murder haven't really changed the last 20 years, but our views on gay people being
Meh.
accepted or whatever
Kinda.
being
You look
accepted,
at like
right?
a lot of
Now, I don't think it's murder, but the pro-life side does think it is.
Yeah,
So
okay,
obviously,
fair-
their views,
fair
that's
counterpoint.
a different, yeah, I would say that's a different thing. And I would say with sex work, even if you look at attitudes towards legalization and decrim, those more and more people are like, oh yeah, it should be legal. Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like I thought I was going to get more hate than I do. But most of the circle around me has no issue with sex work. Even I was surprised by that. And I think this is going to become more and more the case. Like even if you look at European countries, like my cousin in France was literally shocked that I told him, oh yeah, people here can lose their jobs because of it. He's like, in France, nobody cares. Like who cares? Right. So we're
The
becoming,
French just fuck all the time. They don't care.
we're becoming
in
to
France.
get rid of our purity, sexual purity culture, like a lot of that. And so I think that trend is going to continue. I don't see anything that's going to make it just do a big reversal. Now, because that's happening, we're also seeing like the pendulum kind of swing and like, oh, now the trad people are coming out as like a rebellion against
The
this.
fake trap people.
Or even the real trad people. I don't fucking
Do you
know.
peg the guys you're with?
No.
Very like you yap a lot. Like you talk a lot.
Does that is this
It's not a bad
woman
thing. It's a podcast. Like I get it, but
yeah, I'm a talker.
you
That-
give
that's
more.
an interesting mental link between being yappy and begging guys.
It took me
No,
off
you
guard.
give
'cause I
you
was
give like dominance. Like you like to dominate the conversation.
No,
She's
maybe
doing a good-
intellectually, yeah,
Yeah.
You're
but
definitely obviously you're not like retarded. Like you're smart. Like you can speak concisely and whatnot.
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't
just
like men
curious.
who are really quiet, and I'm not really quiet. Like I want to have a dynamic conversation. I don't want just a red pillar guy who's like, "Here's $1 million." Like here I have all this money. Here's your. I paid for your pasta. Like that's just not for me.
That's not. Yeah. I totally agree with that too. Like I think that as a guy, you have to really tap into your emotional state, and you have to get a lot deeper. Like a lot of these dudes, they're afraid of getting stuff like a life coach or having like serious conversations. And I think that's how you really progress as a guy. Like I've had a life coach for the last like 6 months, and it's been fucking like life changing for me.
Good.
So it's stuff like that
I
where
think you guys are not as far off as you
I
might
originally
think.
thought. But I do want to say that there's like a thing that really like with the pegging comment, right? Like, and like you see this in kind of red pillar manosphere spaces that like, unfortunately, the reality is, and this is a reality that men don't want to accept, is that a lot of even traditionally masculine guys who still want to pay for their dinners, who still want to open the doors, whatever, that women like me can still have that. And that's just because it's an availability that's there for us. And a lot of them are like, well, they don't deserve it because you're not traditional women. Sorry. Like, you guys are I want to see the reality. I want to see the truth. A lot of women can still get these guys with high body counts, etc. Because there's a lot of guys. Like I know a lot of guys,
yeah, because like
liberal
every
guys
girl nowadays has a high
that are
body
very
count, so, like,
dominant. I don't.
That's,
I've
that's not actually true
yeah.
at all. Like the average girl, like, we've done street interviews where we ask girls their body count.
they're all lie though.
You can okay, fine. If we dismiss that, you can look at like studies and stuff like that. The average girl has a body count of like 6 or 7.
I go out with super liberal guys. They always open the door for me. They like this idea that like just because you're liberal now that these guys want to get pegged. I'm pretty submissive in bed, and like I have great sex with, but they just aren't looking at me like, what's your body count? Like that's just not how their mentality is. And men are just gonna have to accept that we can have our cake and
I
eat
don't
it too
like-
in 2024.
I
Sorry.
don't think I've given like you keep saying that, but like I don't think I've given like the what's your body count vibes at all.
No,
I feel like I'm
yeah.
not that guy. Like I don't know why. It usually does come up in conversation with girls. Like I don't know if when you're sleeping
No,
with
it
a chick,
doesn't come up in conversation.
It just comes up. I'm not even the one that brings it up.
I'll bring it up like second or third date out of curiosity because I'm just curious, and then I'll be like, oh.
But
you ever fuck like an Asian guy? Like
Okay, well,
You ever fucked a black guy?
no, I'll just fuck around. I just do it to troll though.
But yeah, you like this
No,
idea
but
of you can't have your cake and eat it too. In 2024, we can, and that's one of the reasons men are get so mad over women like me.
Do you agree with that?
that I'm not mad. Like you do
No,
you.
no,
like,
no,
I
not
think
the
you're
mad
mad.
part.
No, no,
The-
I'm not
that-
saying you're mad, but
No, 'cause
some men are.
it is an interesting argument.
Who's
to
mad?
make.
Like fresh and fit? Like who,
No, I mean,
who's
like-
really mad at you? Like, do you really feel like people are that mad at you? Like,
yes.
the red pill space is
If
highly
you were to go
annoyed
through
by
like
the
my
idea.
like people are raging over women like me. It's like a revenge fantasy. Oh, you're gonna be lonely in 10 years and no real man's gonna like you. You're gonna be with someone who you have to peg. No, sorry, I could.
oh, is that what people comment, that you're gonna have to peg someone?
No, but
you don't
like,
think the
along
more
those
liberal
lines,
dudes like to
along
get
those lines.
Probably, I would agree with that. You have an interesting quote actually that I saw in one of the compilations, which is that the number one supporter of OnlyFans girls is Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, they're the ones making us a shit ton of money.
Which is interesting.
Yeah,
It's like a
don't-
weird paradox.
They're like our financial sponsor.
But-
Fresh and Fit sponsors
Wait,
OnlyFans.
do they because do they get paid to have like if like you wanted to go on? Would you have a manager?
I don't have a manager.
You manage yourself?
Yeah.
So you hire the chatters. I mean, it's not.
I don't
that,
have. I do it like literally. I think
That's
it's unethical.
bullshit.
No,
You fucking
on
don't
my
buy that shit.
fucking life, no one has my OnlyFans password except me. Like he knows this. Like this is something I.
And
like,
you're making $1 million
advocate.
a month doing all the chatting
Not
yourself.
a month.
I mean, $1 million a year doing the chatting
Yeah,
yourself.
but it takes
You're a good
me,
liar.
It takes
I'll give it
no.
to you.
It takes me like 6 days to respond. Like it takes me a long time. None. I don't have a night. Like it takes. me days.
I've seen her IG
Yeah.
DMs. I've gone through her IG DMs for a video.
Who's some big celebrities that hit you up?
I don't know. I don't really respond to.
But,
I
like,
don't
hit you up.
I'm not name dropping. You didn't want to name drop.
I kind of did. I said his I kind of did say his name.
Troy Francis, you said?
Yeah, I said he's dating like a fucking.
I did. Wait, what does he do on OnlyFans?
No, that wasn't even about OnlyFans.
Oh.
He gives dating advice to guys, or I don't know, maybe it's just sex advice. But I was on a podcast with him and his girlfriend, and she was 30, and she looked like she's a 6-year-old crackhead. And I was just like, how old is anyone listening to you, bro?
6-year-old crackheads need loving too. 60-year-old, not 6-year-olds. Clarification.
But,
for the
like,
camera.
from the dating coach, I was like, come on now.
No, obviously not. But I mean, again, I think she made an interesting point earlier about fuck, I totally forgot. Oh, you were talking about how women nowadays in 2024, or at least attractive women. I don't think you mean all women, right?
For what? What the
Can
what's the
have
point
their
I made?
cake and eat it too.
What does that
yeah,
even mean?
they can, because even if you're like a mid or below mid women, which whatever, that's a part of
That-
that subjective. You can find a guy. You just have to be a less caliber guy who's still going to open your doors and play that role, irrespective of your body talent.
What do you when you say have your cake? What do you mean though? Like what?
Well, what I mean
You
is
mean like get fucked and then like get a
my,
husband?
My point is like there's this idea, and you guys may be right when you're like, you expect the man to pay, but you're not traditional. True, but a lot of the reason that women still have this expectation is because men are still doing it.
That's true.
That's my point.
That's
Is that
true.
you guys may say it's not fair. You can't expect a man to pay for your meal if you're not a traditional woman, but y'all still are. So why would they just if you
Not me,
have?
but
I
yeah.
know, but if you have,
Wait, are red pillars mad about girls expecting for you to pay?
they're mad about women
About-
like me expecting it. They're mad about women who are not traditional that still expect a traditional man. But the truth is they're still, at least in those respects, traditional.
I mean, but
paying
like
for
you
your-
said, what is there like a couple 0.01% of girls are OnlyFans girls? So it's like,
or even they're talking about like boss babes or people who post bikini
Women have
pics.
high
Whatever.
body counts.
Their point
yeah.
is like, if you don't want to be a homemaker and you don't want to be a traditional
feel
woman,
that, though.
you
I
shouldn't
do
be
feel that.
and that may be true.
there
You
is
shouldn't expect it. But the problem is that, even if you don't have to, even if it's not fair for you to expect it, if people are still doing it, y'all have to just suck it up. This is just what it is for us. I can find a guy who will pay for all my shit right now. If I wanted to.
I'm fucking sure you could.
But like
denying
I
that.
just that's not what
fucking
I'm
pussy.
looking for. And that may not be fair. I may not have the right to expect that, and I don't like that personally, but if I wanted it, I could still get it. And that's my
Yeah.
point.
So you think OnlyFans is good for men, right?
For men, well, when men who do it is
No, buying it. Let's go to buying.
I
OnlyFans.
don't
what
think
do you
it's
think of it?
bad. No, I actually think first of all, it's
We've
the
had
most,
this debate before.
yeah. I don't think it's bad. No.
You don't think it's
I don't
bad?
think
If a
porn-
guy is buying OnlyFans, you don't think that's a problem?
No, what's it indicative of? Is men watching porn a
Are
problem?
you being serious? I think men watching porn is a problem too. Yeah.
I don't think so. It depends. Moderation. We've had this discussion. Now, if you're like obsessed, you have a compulsion, you're spending all your money. No, but if it's like upwards of 90% of men watch porn, it's a form of entertainment. Just like you have a beer on a Friday night. If you go on an OnlyFans, girls OnlyFans, and you want to enjoy yourself, I don't think that's detrimental.
It's so funny the way you just like simplify all of that together, like having a beer, quick jerk.
No. I was
buying
trying to make it like, do you
OnlyFans.
think donuts are bad for society? Do you think donuts are bad for men? Do you think pizza is bad for men? Do you think casinos are bad for men? Do you think alcohol is bad?
Well,
for
let
I
me
mean,
answer
yeah.
one of those. Okay.
I mean, like, yeah, like they're bad for you, but like there's also different levels of how bad something is for you.
So where would you put in terms of the 4 things that she said?
Okay, I
Casinos,
think that this is not a lot of people talk about this one. I think like social media scrolling, so like consuming TikToks and shit. I think that's one of the worst things for you.
I would agree.
I would agree with that too.
I think that porn is right there at the top of that list as well. Fucking what else? Donuts. No, I'm joking. But
Well, my point is, in moderation, it's fine. Like, I don't think
no, but like I don't think like
is watching TV
I
bad for your
watched
least to
porn when I
obesity?
was like so young, and it like hurts me to like look back and think about that because it was like cool, like it was in culture, it was fucking part of what everyone talked about, and it became like a thing I would do every fucking day, and I can see how it's affected me. Like,
How do you feel like it's affected you? Because I used to watch porn every day too when I was a kid.
Do you feel
so
affected?
I would when I'll be pretty personal, like fucking. I mean, I've talked about this. I'm the 9-second champ. So like when I would jerk off when I was younger, I would go. Well, like I fixed it, but like when I was younger, I would just jerk off to like nut instantly. Like I would just be like, let me just get it done with, and I trained myself to nut really quick.
Okay, that's
Okay.
a fair point. I used to have that issue too.
And then you broke it.
I have not fixed it. I'm still a 9-second. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, yeah, I fixed it.
Well, like sometimes it is like a 7, 8, a 9, 12, 30
So
second one,
there-
but then you just go round 2 and you're good. But
Yeah.
that's irrelevant.
There are
I feel like
healthy
being able
ways
to like the
consume
way
porn.
you look at women is completely different. So like I just did a video with my grandparents where I interviewed all of them on similar topics like this, like what was a whore back in the day.
Grandma, what's your body count?
You asked your grandma what a whore was back in the day?
Yeah, and they said one body outside of marriage. She was a treesh.
Yeah, and Okay,
It's
this is
like
the thing.
it's pretty.
We're
funny
not
to
going
hear.
back. We're never going back there. And people who are, oh my god, you're 20. You don't miss back when your grandparents were around. You weren't there. It's not like life wasn't probably better. It really wasn't. Like people who just have this nostalgia for a time they weren't even alive in is bizarre to me. There's no time, honestly, better than now, especially for women or minorities, etc. Like
But
I don't think that's the case. And even if that was, we're not going backwards. We're not going back to the grandma era. It's just not happening. So how are we going to move forward now without thinking of, oh, back in my grandma's time before I was fucking born, I bet life was amazing.
I just really quickly, I don't know if life is better now for everybody. I think for some people it is, but depression rates are all time high, suicide rates are all time high. So for a certain percentage of people, absolutely life is better now. For like me and you, and probably you, life is better now. But
definitely for me.
But like for yeah, like the middle class who like now has
get fucked,
way
man.
more
It's fucking tough.
ability to like actually pay their shit on
Oh, I
yeah.
can't even.
But anyway, I'm not gonna get into it.
My heart goes out to those guys that are like in the middle class and shit. Like it's fucking hard out there right now.
Yeah, okay.
It is tough.
So maybe not, it's not better in every aspect or regard. I also think the depression, like people now, like, you know how easy it is to go get pills for depression? Like I think before people might have been depressed. They just didn't like go.
So all right, what are the biggest like going back to what you were saying? You're like, buy a beer, quick jerk, buy the OnlyFans, enjoy yourself. Are guys buying your OnlyFans for the most part just to like see the titties like real quick, or do they like want to build a connection with you?
I would say less than 10. Maybe I'm just an annoying
This is
yapper.
a big debate we've
Yeah,
had,
I'm just an annoying yapper maybe, and the other girl on that debate agreed with me
Agreed.
though, so maybe we're just annoying pieces of shit and no one wants to build a relationship with us. But I would say less than 10%. Like I have a lot of subs. My biggest
That
platform's
makes
Reddit.
that doesn't surprise me. Like that's kind of like
my
some of the-
speculation was that it would be over 50%.
No, it's not. It definitely
over
not
50% looking for emotional
like
connection.
I've had at
No,
this point over 80,000
Dude,
people pay for my OnlyFans because I have a huge Reddit profile. I'm one of the biggest like Reddit not for safe for work profiles, and I would say like I get a ton of subs every day, and but this isn't even new people. Like out of new people that subscribe to me, like 20 to 30% will DM me, but out of that 20 to 30%,
they just want to see the titties.
Yeah, they're like, hey, can you send me that threesome? They're not like, hey,
Yeah,
get
no,
to know you.
I agree. I mean, I'm not doing OnlyFans, but like
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've in my research in the last couple of weeks. It kind of makes the most sense to me because there's 90% of guys are porn brained, and so if they're scrolling on Instagram Reels, which is another
But to
one of
me,
the big problems.
this is the confusing part because like you can get as lovely as Jazmen is, you can
Sometimes
find 20 million girls that have
No, you
humongous
can't.
titties. Okay, there's only
Not
one girl,
real G-cups.
one girl with big tits
Real
out there.
G-cups.
But the point is that like I've watched a shitload of porn back in the day. I've never like paid $1 for porn because there's so much of it is available for free. So I feel like if you're going to pay for it, you're looking for something like that, just a titty can't offer you, which to my mind,
Well, I
is a
agree.
connection of some
I
kind.
agree. I've never bought.
But
an OnlyFans.
I mean, maybe like
Well,
Jasmine
yeah,
is different.
No, well, the point, because he was just saying that like it maps out. I think the thing is that people like that's why streamers or Twitch people do really well. Like when someone likes your personality, I think it makes them more like, oh, I want to see this girl.
I don't think anyone's
Yeah,
buying your
true enough.
OnlyFans for your personality. Do you really think
Yeah,
that?
no, people do. Maybe not. I don't know how.
Maybe
what
like a
percentage.
small, yeah, maybe.
But I literally, it's funny because I was on my OnlyFans and I had a friend next to me and he was just like, oh, all of these people in your DMs are probably copy and pasting for articles. Why do they write like this? I'm like, oh, it's because my fan base just happens to be more higher educated because I
bro,
am.
what are you?
No,
even
I'm not
saying?
even kidding.
I think it's
I'm
because
not
they're
even-
trying to impress you. Though.
No. I typically
They
do
chat
get,
GPT your
No,
responses.
I
So
literally
smart.
get like.
Would you ever date a guy that buys your OnlyFans?
Yeah, but not
You are
through
PR
OnlyFans. Not through OnlyFans.
You're PR trained. This is fucking ridiculous.
I mean, if you're just
You
gonna-
run
if
your
you're
own
just gonna dig-
chatting.
Yeah, no,
you
I'm
fucking would
100%
date a guy that
and if
buys
you
your
don't believe me,
OnlyFans.
that's honestly a compliment because it makes me feel like I'm even cooler than I am because I really do. And anyone who knows, even my OnlyFans fans know, it takes me 6 days, like 5 to 6 days to respond
Guys.
to you. And I lose a lot of money because of it, but I have no chatters, no agency, nothing. I'm not giving any.
I've known Jasmine for a few
Yeah.
months. She keeps it real. I've never
Yeah.
caught her in a lie of any kind.
I just, it's like how I.
I
choose
think
to run
that-
things. But I know I'm
Okay,
an
maybe
anomaly.
you do your own chatting. Maybe, which I think is also not the most intelligent thing. You could hire chatters and make more
But
money.
it's not ethical. I don't think hiring chatters is ethical unless you disclose it. So to me, ethics is really important, and I'm not just trying to make as much money. Yeah, because my ethics. are
That's
just
where you draw
different.
the line at hiring chatters.
Yeah,
so like you
because
show
it's
your,
fraud.
you make money off your butthole and show your titties on Instagram.
But that's
then-
honest. Like
Yeah.
that's you're getting what you're paying for. With the chatters is like
You're lying.
You do have a point that like pretty much most OnlyFans girls who are in the top whatever, like you're chatting with a dude in India or a dude in fucking
And I think you
China,
shouldn't do that. I'm
right?
a big
but
advocate
the guys
against
think
that.
they're chatting with the
Imagine
girls.
if I was speaking out against this this every chance I get, and then I was lying the whole time. Why would I?
I don't know what you.
So
speak
my
out against
point, no, what I
consistently, so.
usually say is I think that you need to disclose it. So I don't think showing your butthole is a moral
Well, I
issue.
think that most.
But
of the
I think
people that,
lying is still like I think having someone pay to talk to you and they're talking to a man in India, that's fucked up. I don't think it's fucked up if I want to do shit with my titties. I think it's fucked up for me to lie to somebody and make them pay to talk to someone that isn't me. I think that's fucked up and I don't want to make money that way. I don't care how much money I would make. I'm doing very well. I'm lucky to be doing very well without having to go against my morals. Now, I may be going against your morals by just doing it in the first place, but those aren't my morals. We don't have the same morals.
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
I
gonna
draw the
violate
line
my
at just
morals.
doing it. I think
Yeah,
it's
cool.
pretty.
So you don't spend money.
At your line, I actually don't give a fuck about that line because I think that if a guy is buying and sending you money, he's a pussy.
Yeah,
Like,
so
that's
we just have very
But then,
different
dude,
morals.
but this is we get to the Andrew Tate thing. Like, do you think pussies deserve to get like ripped off? Because, for example,
No.
like Andrew Tate had the story.
I know
where he was talking about how like just for the audience, I'm sure you might know it, but anyway, so he basically had these girls pretend like they were going to meet up with the guys, right? And then they would bail last minute, and the guys would like send them money for the plane ticket, and then he would gaslight the guys into thinking it was their fault and get more money from them. And whenever I bring up the story to like Andrew Tate fans, I'm like, dude, this is like exploitation. Doesn't get more fraud and exploitation than this. And the counter argument is always like, but yeah, those guys were simps anyway. It's like, yeah, they're simps and like, but they're pathetic, but doesn't mean they deserve to get like.
First of all,
frauded.
no, they're not. And second,
Well,
of
they
all,
are. They are.
Well,
simps.
even if you
They're
want to say
fucking
that,
simps.
like even if you
They're
want to say
fucking
they're
pussies.
extra vulnerable, if you're ripping off people who are extra vulnerable, I think you're a piece of shit. I
I
think
agree
Andrew
with that.
Tate is a piece of shit for that. There is no reason that you should be lying and defrauding people.
Yeah,
Like
agree with
I
that.
think it should be a TOS violation to not disclose a chatter.
Well, it is I'm pretty sure it is a TOS violation if you like promise meetups and then do that
Well,
kind of shit.
meetups, true, but like chatter should
Which-
be a TOS violation too, unless there's a disclaimer.
But then just to kind of go into your point, you said like if it gets past a certain point.
But you asked me, do I think that the fucking guy deserves to get scammed like that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what you're saying. This is kind of a weird one. Like, I don't think that I think that the type of money that you make, it can either be like good or bad money. Like a lot of religions talk about this. There's like halal, there's like
Yeah.
fucking evil money, and that money has energy and power attached to it. So if that's the way that you make your money, then I think it's going to come back and haunt you in different ways, whether if it's spiritually or in the material world. But do those guys deserve to have their money taken? Those guys deserve nothing in my mind. I think those guys are absolute pussies. Like the fact that you're sending money to a girl for anything is absolutely mind-boggling to
Okay,
me.
so-
But I think if you're the one taking that money, it has repercussions. And then where do we see Andrew Tate? I mean, he was in
I-
jail for a year and he's faced a bunch of bullshit.
I
So-
vehemently so this is the thing, we just have very different moral frameworks.
Yeah.
I don't think that what you choose to do with your body, your sexual purity is correlated to morality, but I think the way you treat people is correlated to your morality. If you treat people like shit just because they're vulnerable and they're whatever, I think you're a piece of shit. So it's just different. We're just different.
Also, I think there's
Well,
different-
I said I agreed. Like I wouldn't be out here scamming guys. You know what I mean? Like
But
that's
you
not-
don't think that people have
I
a
think-
right to not be like, I don't think you have a fundamental right to not be scammed, but like that's like saying, oh, someone who just
But like my point is, my line is earlier on than yours.
Yeah.
Like I think the OnlyFans space in its whole is degenerate. I'm not gonna go in
I
here
feel like
and
you're
put
looking
another
at very
line.
like black and white
But that's
binary
like saying, okay,
versus
if you
there's
think-
like
if
degrees
you
of
think
so do I-
alcohol
so-
is bad and there's a casino or if there's a bar owner, then does everything he does after that it's fine because he already did the bad thing of
Well,
owning
let
the
me
bar?
give a different analogy. So like, okay, we're talking about drug deal. I'm assuming you think selling drugs is wrong, right?
Yeah.
Actually, maybe not. Oh, okay.
Okay, so like there has to be distinction between someone who's just selling weed and someone who's selling fentanyl, which is killing
And ripping people off. Do you
And-
think?
and
Do you think
ripping-
like
yeah,
at
sure.
that
But
point,
then-
well, you're already a drug dealer. You might as
Well,
well
no,
rip people
They're
off.
both
No.
wrong, but there are different degrees of wrong. There has to be.
And it's not like once you do
I think
one
that
wrong
I don't think
thing,
that's
then it's
I don't think
all-
that's a really good analogy to make because like I don't even look at weed like a drug.
Okay, let's take
You know what I
shrooms.
mean? But it's like I think that those are all individual things. Like you're packaging everything into drugs.
Okay.
I think that like you're a fentanyl dealer, you're a weed dealer.
You said
know?
donut shops are bad. If you have a donut shop, that's bad. But
I
if
said-
you're lying about what's in the donut or you're lying about the
Okay.
calories or something, then I think you're doing something. You could, and you're like, well, you already started the donut shop. You're already a degenerate. No, there's an ethical way. You may not agree with the donut shop in the first place, but now it's not like anything the person does is free game now because they're already a degenerate. There's still an ethical way. You can't lie about what's in your product. And I think that's what OnlyFans girls are doing when they've already, you may think they shouldn't have started
It's so
OnlyFans
funny
before.
that this went from OnlyFans degeneracy to we're arguing about like chatters. Like it's all fucking degenerate. I don't give a fuck. Like
Well, that's my
it's-
point.
But
You
I
don't give
think
a
there's
fuck.
got to be different
Yeah.
like levels of it. Like, okay, to give another example,
I don't even
take
wanna-
a-
I
wait,
wouldn't
just real quick.
Yeah.
Let's take a thief, right? Robin Hood. He was known from stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. So let's take someone who does that, like a modern day version of Robin Hood. He steals from ultra rich people money that they don't really need and gives it out to poor people, right? Versus we have someone who preys on old grandmas and takes their whole life savings. They're both stealing, and let's say they're both stealing the same amount of money. But would you say that one is like more wrong than the other?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess I'd say fucking stealing from grandmas is
Yeah,
more
so
wrong.
you do have like levels in your morality. It's not black and white for you.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else before we get into the chat, the questions? Do we have any good questions from the audience?
What have
They're
they been
calling
saying
me
this whole
bored.
time? I'm curious. What's like the common dub L or like what the fuck?
I didn't even promote this. And no one
I mean,
from my side is even
There's
in the
just
chat.
been a lot of mini
gonna do-
debates and discussions right in the chat.
How many viewers are there? I don't even know.
So 170.
Oh, that's pretty good, man. That's lit.
It's not.
What do you usually get?
It depends on what I've had, like up to
Sometimes 250,
500, and sometimes I
300.
get 100.
I didn't even end up posting it either. So that's
How many did me and Lav get? You said at the.
At its peak, it was like 500.
Okay.
Yeah.
People like to
Uh,
see women going at it. I'm telling you.
And just a lot of
You
people
should
hate
talk
Laugh.
to her. You would.
Yeah.
I should what?
We'll put you in touch with Laugh. She's an ex.
That's the
OnlyFans
ex.
girl.
That'd be
the
great,
ex
actually.
OnlyFans girl who probably agrees.
You want to see? Should I read you the text that I got from this girl? That this is the fucking final one.
Okay.
Okay.
This is actually. Why didn't I bring this up earlier? Let me see. Where the fuck is this? Where the fuck is this?
See, the thing with these things is for every girl you can tell me that regrets OnlyFans, you can find like you can always find people who right like
What I really like about these conversations is that you can take people to have different communities, different beliefs, and you can not fully bridge the gap, but you can at least partially bridge the gap.
yeah, I
And
think he's lovely.
You can,
Oh,
you
thank
can,
you.
but
He
probably,
thinks I'm a degenerate whore,
no, I don't think he does. But probably before you met him, when you just watch, if you would just watch his channel, you probably would have a lower opinion of him.
yeah, and he's 20. Like I just like
You know, that's the funny thing too. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I fucking know everything.
yeah.
Like I understand. Every time I've gone and said stuff, I'm like, my mind is gonna change as I get older. Like I'm not delusional.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
change.
I
Their
like to
minds all
think
the
I'm
time.
pretty realistic.
you're
but-
smart for 20, I would say.
yeah, thank you.
But
Uh,
if you're the same
have
person
one-
at 29, then it would be like obviously you don't want to be the same person at 29. You want to be better.
Of course.
So that's the point. Yeah.
What's the
I
question?
have one, like, I guess a mini discussion you guys could have.
Okay.
So, according to some studies that show women in porn, they actually don't like sex, which is why they have no problem extracting money from as many men as possible. So, it's almost like they're working just for the money and they really don't care about the sex. So, they have that ethical, I guess, imbalance in their head that they don't feel bad about extracting as much money as possible from these men.
I'd want to see that study because I've tried to look up so much studies on porn stars and they're very
I've never
minimal.
heard
I
of that one
haven't seen that
personally.
one.
So,
But I
these-
mean, I would just say
maybe there is
like
a study
me,
like that.
I have a relatively low body count, but I'll show my tits to anyone, but I won't fuck anyone because I don't like to. Like it feels like I'm somebody that likes more of a connection when I
Hey,
have
titties
sex.
is better than nothing.
Yeah, and like I think everyone just has like a different. But like I know girls who they like. I don't do collabs. I only have sex with one guy on my OnlyFans, and we've been having sex for like a year. Like that's just what I choose.
Do you
to
pay him to do that?
No.
That's funny.
Yeah, I never got paid either, man.
You never got
Wait,
paid?
okay. Should girls pay their stunt costs?
No, I wouldn't accept it.
I mean,
but-
it's the
Yeah.
marketplace. If someone's willing
It
to do it for
really
free,
depends on so many factors, like how involved he is in it.
Is it
Is he
facing it?
promoting it? What's his financial situation? How
Okay,
much
yeah.
is the girl making? I mean, yeah, it just depends. on so
unpaid
many things.
intern, someone commented.
I mean, I kind of think like if a guy's willing to do it for free, like there's no need.
Yeah.
Look,
Like-
if me and I started an OnlyFans, which we never will, but if we ever did, and that fucking thing, it was like her thing, and fucking started making multi-million dollars, I'd be like, fuck, you're paying for my dinners now. You get the fuck out of here.
Oh, I do pay like when because he doesn't live with like by me. So when we like meet up somewhere, like I'll pay for shit. Like you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna like give him a cut.
Mm.
You know, and he doesn't ask for it. So but we're not
Interesting.
like
Wait,
yeah.
so what are some of these questions and shit?
Should be really tough to find,
Are there
unfortunately.
any super chats? No,
Yeah, there's
Are you
super
monetized?
chats. Yeah.
I'm not monetized.
You're not?
Okay, so there's 5 super chats from the same guy. Question for SonnyFaz: is your mom currently single? Not a troll question. I think he's just like asking in case of, because she's the one who instilled upon values on you, right?
Yeah, She is, yeah.
Okay,
She's single.
she is, okay. I'll just show that. Again, another
I'm
super
so used
chat.
to like the trolls. I was like,
Oh no, I don't think he was trolling because he's been commenting as well. Attraction trumps logic, Sonny. That's what he said.
what do you say?
Attraction trumps logic because you guys were talking about the whole money stuff and that I mean, if you don't have that ambition, then like the woman will lose attraction, and that if that ambition doesn't turn into anything money wise, she's going to lose attraction. So he's saying attraction trumps logic. It's not a question, but I'm just like explaining the
Let's
quote.
do like 2 more and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, it's basically just super chats. Troy Francis sucks. LOL, I make girls pay for me.
I'm sure he
Jazmen
does.
fear the abolishment of the 19th. I don't know what that is. I don't.
That's the women's right to vote.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure you didn't. Did you even know that, or you just take a guess? And you were
No,
like,
he's
it's gotta
just
be it.
debated so many psychos
Oh.
that think
Yeah.
that they should.
I'm actually,
I didn't even know. I
I'm
was
pretty
like,
well
it's-
read when it comes to politics.
This is, I guess, mostly a troll question. Does Sonny consider first of all, let me ask you, did you read The Rational Male?
No, I read like a couple chapters.
Okay. And what did you think of that?
It was like, that was interesting, like the couple chapters that I read, but I didn't finish it. And what was the rest of the
He's
question?
not fully rational.
So
yet.
he just he's asking whether you consider that as your Bible, but if you've never read it,
No.
Was I even going off of those
No,
points?
you weren't.
No.
You weren't.
you weren't. I guess.
Yeah,
I would say
because that
you're
was also
in
like
the
a year and a
middle of
half ago.
Red
That's so
Pill and
long ago.
Trad.
Hmm?
I think you're like I wouldn't put you in like Rolo territory. You seem to even if you say like, hey, I may sleep with a bunch of women, you don't think that you should be or that you're doing something good by
I feel bad sleeping with.
That's
Like,
what
I
I'm
feel
pointing out.
bad. Like a lot of these. Well, I think that if a girl sleeps with you, she actually wants to date you. Realistically, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like because you guys are
No.
more emotionally invested. You don't think so?
sometimes.
Sometimes,
I mean, nowadays,
but
no.
not
Most
not-
girls
usually-
are probably just.
I don't know. Basically, every girl that I've slept with, if I wanted to
Well,
date her,
maybe you-
it's
you
on
do
me at that
attract-
Because you're
point.
so cute.
It's me debating if I want to date her.
Yeah, you do attract them though, right?
And so like, yeah.
Yeah, for me and Alex, we attract girls who are typically looking for something casual, and we fuck, we have fun. If in case we develop an emotional connection, then we are going to try to explore something more. But me and him, we typically attract the girls who are looking for casual girls.
I would
casual.
say like
I feel
pretty
like
much
girls really-
every girlfriend I ever had, like when we started dating, was like, damn, I never thought this would happen. Like,
Really, they were like, I thought you were just a fucking fuck. You were just a
Yeah.
dick appointment. Is that what?
well, yeah, casual. Like me and Natty were casual at first. Me and my previous girlfriend Lorena were casual at first. Maria was casual at first. Like, every single one of them, actually.
Yeah.
Fuck. Now that I think about it, every single one of them.
That's pretty.
The
interesting.
girl was surprised. They're like not surprised, but she was like, "Damn, I never thought this would happen."
It's
And
so-
then, but
complete
you
opposite
still
for
hook
me.
up with a lot of girls who don't want more. Like,
Yes.
yeah, there are just these women that have different levels. Like this idea that all women want a relationship and they don't want to have casual sex, and all men want to have. It's not true.
Well, it's good. You know what the funny thing about that too is like the lower the body count, the more it is.
It's probably true. There's probably correlation
probably
there.
true.
Yeah,
Is there any last questions?
the more it is, there would be emotionally invested.
Not really.
What's the highest body count girl you've ever been with or met?
I don't know.
And do you think where they're telling
Oh,
you
dude,
the
I
truth
mean,
or
I met
lying?
one girl at a club and I railed her that same night. I don't even like that was probably high. I didn't know it though.
I met a chick who was 21.
No, but she was like, it was
her body
I mean, if
count
it was too easy,
300.
then I would.
300.
If
Yeah.
it was like too easy, then
Yeah,
I would.
after
I would
we
think maybe
banged,
it's
it
a
was
high body
really fucking.
After we
Okay, then
banged,
it
we
was
were laying.
probably
She was
high
really
body.
good in bed, but after we banged, we were laying in bed, and just her phone was just going off, boom, boom,
Oh,
boom.
that
Dick
that girl, I
appointments.
know.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh shit, I think I have something." I'm like, what is that? Like, kind of peek over. And it's just like dudes, like, "Hey, where are you? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's up?"
So one thing I have with Sonny, so let's say a girl meets you, right? And by the way you talk, by the way you display your values, most of the time she can actually tell that you wouldn't want her if she has a high body count.
Correct.
So let's say if that conversation ever comes up, she's already thinking that, okay, if ever this guy asks me, I'm not going to tell him the real body count. And
Yeah.
you can never ever tell because, like, even with higher body counts, you can still develop an emotional connection with the girl, and she can develop it with you as well. It's not that because you have
Yeah,
a
it's not
higher
like you
body-
can't have an. Yeah, okay.
right. So my question to you is like, well, aren't you kind of dictating the frame that you're going to be more attracted to her.
Aren't you
If-
incentivizing lying
Yeah, it's-
essentially?
yeah,
is
that's-
that
that's
what
my-
you're
Am I
saying?
incentivizing her to lie about? I
Lie.
can look in their eyes and tell, so it
Okay.
doesn't work that way. Have you heard of the 1,000 cock stare? It's the realest thing in the world. You can look in a girl's eyes and just see if if her lights are on.
I mean, I would say like less than
Sure,
0.1% of
very
girls have had
scientifically
a
accurate.
1,000 cocks.
No, but it's an exaggeration. No, but
You really
I
can.
guess-
Some people are really good liars.
Yes, especially women. Yeah.
Jasmine, tell
I'm
two
like-
truths and a lie. Let's see if you can guess.
Oh, I'm really bad at this. I'm a really bad
this
liar.
is I already know your body count, but let's see.
No,
I'm not
I'm-
psychic.
No,
like I'm just really
bad at this, which is why I can't do like we were just talking. Like I can't put on an act, not
Well,
because
here's- Well, I'll just finish this. Like the thing is too, it's not like you just ask the body count, she gives you a number, and like that's what fucking dictates it. Like you look at her lifestyle, how easy it was
You
to
gotta
sleep
do a
with
little
her.
investigative
How'd you meet
journalism.
her? What's her family life like? Like you know a bunch of shit.
You said you met Jonathan when you were 26. Okay. Okay.
but see, like me, you'd be wrong about. So it's not like foolproof. Like you probably thought my body count was like 50.
Yeah, you did think that it was like more than 30s, right?
Yeah,
So-
but like you're OnlyFans girls, it's like throws
Yeah,
you
but
off. Yeah,
that you were wrong. So
yeah.
you can't be wrong. Yeah.
you can be thrown off
Yeah.
by a lot of other things they're doing.
Well,
They could
everyone can.
actually have a lifestyle which portrays the opposite of what
But they are,
My
like
point,
me.
my point is, I'm not gonna meet a girl. She tells me a virgin, and I'm like, oh, like that's it. Like you lied, and I'll never know. Like you
The
can
virgin one
fucking
is pretty
tell.
easy to tell based on
Like you
other
said,
things.
like I said, like you drive the car off the lot when it's new, loses 20% of its value.
Okay. Yeah. So that was something I had.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, let's wrap
no more
up.
questions. Yeah, no more questions.
All right, cool. Awesome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this debate. I think this was a really great crossover between two people who are both popular in totally different spheres. And I think it was a really good discussion. I think you guys agreed more than I think I expected you to. Let's quickly give both our guests a chance to plug their channels, tell them what they're doing, where they can find them. So Sonny, where can people find you? What are you working on that people should watch out for?
Yeah, so you can find me on my YouTube channel, SonnyFaz. I've been kind of shadow banned lately, so make sure to look that up. You might have to scroll down a little bit. Twitter, the SonnyFaz, Instagram, SonnyFaz. And yeah, my main thing is just short form marketing business. So like before I ever got into this social media stuff, I would run the behind the scenes short form for other companies. And that's just the same skills that I applied to this current social media business, why I have over 1 billion views today. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, I'm hosting a free live class where you can learn more, but that's in my bio. But just follow along. Like I post a lot of cool shit.
Cool.
My lady.
Yeah, and thank you, both of you. Thanks for setting all this all up. Thank you for showing up. I am a degenerate on OnlyFans, so that's probably where you can find me. I am trying to branch out now, like in the past couple of months, and do more content like this on YouTube. So if you go to my Instagram and click on the link in the bio, or just go to Jazmen Jafar, JAZMEN, JAFAR.me, it has like all my links, like Instagram, OnlyFans. You can pick your adventure.
Do your viewers buy OnlyFans?
I'm sure some of them do, but
Pussies.
I've had
they
a
don't-
few. I had a few OnlyFans chats that I like saw you
your
on
viewers,
Playing with
my
Fire.
viewers, everyone's viewers buy, but it's not like something that's ever discussed in my chat because it would be stigmatized.
Yeah. I'm not calling you.
I'm
your
hoping
viewers a
your
pussy. I'm
viewers
saying
come
who
through.
buys.
I'm sure there's some, but I think my viewers are probably less likely. But I don't know. Who
I mean,
knows?
yeah, a percentage of everyone's audience.
Who
is
knows? I
big
mean,
enough.
fucking, you would think the Fresh and Fit audience is less likely, and they seem to
No,
like.
They
it just
probably make a
depends
lot
on
of
how
money.
big your audiences are. Like if you have a male-dominated audience, the more men that watch you, the more subscribers we get. It's just like a numbers thing. I don't know if a specific audience is more or less. Like,
Listen, guys, if you're looking for OnlyFans, subscribe to mine. Okay, it's going to be really good stuff.
At
Just
least
mainly videos of me playing with the husky. You know,
if you want to insult me, it's probably the only place I'll read it. Because I'm doing all my own messages. So
that's motivation.
yeah. So if you want me to read your insult, do it on OnlyFans.
All right, awesome, guys. Appreciate you guys joining. We'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.